BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed, ahoy hoy, welcome to episode 518 of BRB UK. The nights are drawing in, it's getting a bit flipping cold. I've still got no idea what the heck's happened in the past 6 months, but we're doing a podcast about video games. I'm Dan, hello. I'm joined, as ever, by... Who should I pick on first? Timothy, I'm going to pick on you first. Hello.
Hello. How's you, sir? All good?
I am a solid 7 out of 10. I'm good. Room for improvement, but also quite a lot better than rubbish, which is all anyone could hope for.
I mean, that's generally the general level of the podcast. Good solid 7.
Well, exactly.
Needs
exactly.
better graphics.
And Coleman, hello.
Hi.
How many Colemans out of Coleman are you?
I'm a solid 4 out of 5 Colemans.
That is 8 out of 10 Dans and 37 out of 322 Tims, because that's probably the kind of fraction he come up with.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, that fair.
It's Thanksgiving for our American listeners, and it's World Cup for everyone else.
Well, first of all, it's hilarious that we're going to clobber the Americans on Thanksgiving. Brilliant. Love it.
Don't count your
tomorrow.
chickens.
I don't quite...
Or your turkeys.
No, turkeys, Tim. Turkeys. Yeah. I don't quite know how to... Because, I mean, I only really watch football when it's a World Cup. I don't know how I feel about watching this World Cup. I kind of want to support our team, but I kind of really don't want to encourage it.
Without going too deep into things, generally, I said on Twitter the other day, I had similar misgivings about this World Cup. I don't want to rob myself of the enjoyment I get from the World Cup. I'd normally maximize how many games I can watch and all that sort of stuff. Publicly talking about it generally, as in I'm not going on about it on my Twitter feed and stuff and not talking about it, so I'm not bigging it up. I'm also minimizing how much I watch, but not taking away all of my enjoyment. So what I said originally is I'd watch the England games and the Welsh games, basically, which is fortunate because we're in the same group, so there's some of those happen at the same time. I'm also going to watch like highlights here and there, but I'm not going to watch as many games as I normally do, basically.
And big up Alex Scott wearing the correct armband as well. Good for her.
I've been facing this for a few years now because the WWE, they love doing their blood money funded pay-per-views over in Saudi Arabia. So the way I've kind of skirted that one is I don't watch those pay-per-views, but to watch those pay-per-views, you have to pay for a subscription. So I'm not actively giving them money. With this World Cup,
Right, yeah.
my plan was to just watch the England games. However, most of the games, because of the time difference, they are all playing while I'm at work. So they are on a loop. They're just playing all day anyway. So I can't really avoid it. But yeah, well done, England. 6-2. That was weird.
Yeah, shame about the two, I have to say. At least one of those two, if not two of those two, were completely avoided. Anyway, why have we turned into a football podcast? All I was going to say
we're transitioning
about the whole world...
We're on the ball.
I know. All I was going to say
Football.
is, wouldn't the world be a wonderful place if we could all just get on and not care about our differences from one another?
Korea were robbed today.
Well, Korea robbed?
Yeah.
Who by?
Uruguay.
Who by?
They are some aggressive tacklers.
Those pesky Uruguayans. What do they get away with?
Just some of the most roughest looking tackles you've ever seen in your life.
GBH.
They got away with assault and battery, is what they got away with.
There was a point where someone's running down the wing and one of the guys from Uruguay just absolutely mashes him off the pitch and then celebrates like he just scored.
Nice. Although I kind of got the feeling, I'm totally, you know it's the World Cup when you're an England fan and you're convinced the world is against you. But we've been quite vocal against our, in terms of our opposition to the certain views that Qatar as a country has about certain things, I think. But without wishing to go too into it, I think we've been quite firm, and rightly so. And a little bit of me is kind of like FIFA are like, oh, those troublemakers, the English. We'll just let them get bear hugged in the penalty area. And if they so much just look at someone else, we'll just give them a yellow card or something like that.
I don't think we've been massively unfairly treated so far.
There have been some very questionable decisions with a lot of the matches all round, and I'm not just talking about the decision to hold it in Saudi Arabia. So,
well, yeah, the decision to hold it there and then go, oh yeah, and we can't have it in the summer, by the way. And oh yeah, you can't drink beer at the last minute, by the way.
But look at all the money I'm making.
Yeah.
Look at all the money.
That's why I'm trying to, don't want to watch the matches with advertising in, because then that'll support that. side of things. So
I will give some notice to Gav Murphy, put a vlog up for, I think he was doing it for a Welsh-speaking site, so he did it all in Welsh, but it's all subtitles, so you can watch it. And except for the points where you have to articulate in English, what, like swearing.
So do Welsh people have to swear in English?
Certain words, I think.
Wow, that
Depends
blows
on the
my
swear
mind.
word.
I would have thought they would have had their own swear
Well, it
words.
depends on the swear word, and like, because the Welsh language stopped developing at a certain point, so words
Harsh,
are...
Coleman,
No, this is truth. So certain words...
Wow, throw the Welsh language under the bus. Well, it just stopped developing. After a stage, it was just grunts and extra Ys.
No, what I'm saying is there's a point where their language stopped developing, so they, in place of new words, they will use English words, or they will use words of... Which one of my favourite ones is the word for a microwave is the sound it makes.
Yeah.
So they call it a pop-de-ping.
Pop-de-ping.
Yeah.
yes, that's very good.
The point I was trying to get to is Gav was talking about what it's like being in Qatar outside of watching the football itself. He said it's massive and there's nothing to do. And with all these buildings, you kind of feel like you're in Disneyland, but there's no rides and Mickey's charging you 14 quid for a pint.
And like the kind of the fan zones where you can pay like 300 quid to stay is essentially they've put like a bit of tarp up and just chuck some IKEA beds in there.
Yeah, a tent with no air conditioning, 350 quid a night.
Lovely, lovely. So come back to the Welsh English swearing thing. So is that a bit kind of like Japlish but Welsh, or is it Welshish or Elsh?
I don't know, man.
A lot of countries do that. They just
I want to know.
adopt some English words into their dialect.
I think it's because the word is very satisfying to say.
I mean, there's
You
that.
know, I think that is the ultimate swear word. It is the ultimate swear word.
No, it's not.
The
Sorry,
only
Coleman.
only slight curse I know was one my cousin taught me when I was young was Iesu Christ in Welsh, which is Jesus Christ.
Not even a swear word. That's blasphemy.
It's in the
Get your
same
cussing
ballpark.
right, Tim.
Mister, can we not use any blasphemy on the podcast?
Taking his name in vain, Tim.
Exactly.
Where do you... Oh, the stuff we let you get away
Mate,
with,
you're
I
going
tell
straight to Hull.
Hullheim. Talking of Hullheim, I'm still playing God of War. Look at that for a segue. I was moderately pleased with that. Yeah, I am surprised how long this game is. I mean, and I mean that in a good way. A couple of times I thought, I must be getting near the end now. Then it's holy crap, I've just unlocked a bunch more stuff. Maybe I'm not getting near the end. And again, have either of you finished it yet?
No, I've switched my attentions this week, so
Yeah, I stopped because I'm playing this week's game, but I will be going straight back to it.
likewise.
I've been playing more of the game this week for review, but then because this is a Switch game, I'll be able to go into handheld when I'm out and about, and then go to God of War when I'm at home. So it'll be a nice balance.
Yeah, I mean that game just keeps on giving, and it's a long ass game, but it hasn't felt like it's dragging yet. Still loving the story, great acting, just brilliant.
Without spoiling, can you give us a hint where you are?
The band's back together,
Okay.
I didn't know there was a band.
the metaphorical band.
Do you mean like
not like Chaz and Dave, which I suppose could be an alter ego of those two dwarves.
Chaz and Kratos.
do you mean off he goes and now he's back again?
Yeah, exactly. Well, kind of, yes. I mean, but with more character. Look, I really don't want to spoil anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
those
yeah.
of you who've completed it, if I say I'm at the stage where the band is back together, I think I'm about to enter into the final act.
Oh, okay.
But I thought that about 5 hours of gameplay ago.
Thought that.
Wow, really?
Wow, really not giving it away
Norse.
there, Coleman. Nice and
Norse
subtle.
mythology.
Really? Do you know how Odin passes secret messages to Thor?
get me
Norse code.
It's pretty good. Do you know why he's Thor?
Why is he Thor?
Because he got...
Whoa!
Beefing all of that out.
Wow. That's kind of like filling your own. It's a bit like choose your own adventure, but it's choose your own joke in the middle of that. Really, it is a good game. Look, Tim's shocked. I thought where he's just become very pixelated. I think he's just become very.
He's always very pixelated. He looks like that in real life.
Yeah, he's already
Yeah.
very pixelated.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
very squarey.
I am pixelated.
I'm guessing then, if both of you have switched to other things, you've both been playing some new games, and I know Coleman, you are a man.
That's true.
Pokemans. You love the Pokemons. And I'm still not quite sure, other than it being a cynical cash grab, why there are two versions of an otherwise identical game.
Because it's a cynical cash grab.
Yeah, there we go. There's Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Scarlet, is it?
That's correct. I went with Pokemon Violet this year.
Why?
Well, because the
Chose
legendaries,
Violet.
which are the legendaries, which are always kind of the cover Pokemon, you get one per version of the game. The red Scarlet ones has a kind of Scarlet Pokemon that you use as a hybrid motorcycle Pokemon, and he kind of runs around on his all fours, and then he'll use the wheels that are in his stomach. Whereas the other one looks a bit more like Mega Man, the one for Pokemon Violet, and he has like blaster hands, and
Right.
he looks cooler. So I went for Violet for that very reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So if you don't know, Pokemon Violet, Pokemon Scarlet, Pokemon being the biggest franchise in all of media at the moment,
Really?
and one of the best-selling games in the quickest amount of time, or something stupid like that. I think it's
Yeah.
like the best-selling game in 3 days on the. Well, I think it's outsold God of War 3 times over in its first couple of days. So that's
Yeah.
how well
God damn it.
these games do. And not without its complaints as well. So it's quite impressive that they've managed to do that. And not
Sold
had all
4
their
million
physical
in
games
Japan, I
returned.
think. Over 4 million.
Yeah, stupid amounts. If you're not aware of Pokemon, somehow it is an RPG where you go around into a big wide world and you go off and collect monsters, which you battle and into submission, and then throw a Pokeball at them to capture them.
Cockfighting.
And then
Got it.
you can carry 6 of them on your person, and then you can level up those Pokemon and go into battles and trade them with your friends, and lots of cool things. You gotta catch them all. Pokemon.
The classic juvenile blood sport for just mild amusement.
Yes. And I think this
Lovely.
one has got
Wholesome.
the most notoriety purely on the bugs. There are a lot of bugs being shared at the moment. There are a lot of graphical glitches.
Right.
There are a lot of frame rate dips and all these kind of things. And we'll get to that at the moment. But I will say, playing through this game so far, and I've played a lot of this game so far,
Right.
it's one of the most fun Pokemon mainline games I think ever. I think this is the best Pokemon game if it wasn't for the graphical faults, which is a shame.
Right.
So they've taken from the inspiration of Sword and Shield, where that was more like your traditional Pokemon game, but they had these open areas called, I think they were called like capture zones. And that was an area where you could go and explore with your friends and run around and find Pokemon. And instead of have these random encounters where you step on the grass and then it will take you off into a little battle screen, and then you go and fight your Pokemon or capture your Pokemon. This time, the whole game is the capture area. It's open world. They've made it so the entire environment is Pokemon everywhere. You can see them in the distance. They're all to the right scale. And you can just walk up to them, or you can sneak up on them, or you can throw your Pokemon out of them. And it's very fun in that way. And also, when you go to battle them, there is no little loading screen and go into a little battle or whisked off into a little battle arena or anything like that. It's just you walk up and the battle commences. It seems to have taken a lot of inspiration from the recent game Pokemon Legends Arceus, which came out earlier this year, and I complained over the kind of technical limitations of the Switch affecting that game, but there might be more to it than just technical limitations of the Switch, judging by a lot of reports going on at the moment with this game as well, and we'll get to that as well. Set in the world of Paldea, which is influenced by Spain, which got to say, a little bit upsetting for me because I liked last year when we had Sword and Shield, that was influenced by England. Yeah. Now it's
proper game.
Now it's
good
Spain.
proper game.
Like, okay.
Proper game.
I like Spain, but I liked England, whatever the hell that world was called. And one of the big thing is, so original Pokemon, very first Pokemon, you had 150 Pokemon to go out and battle, although that was split in between 2 different game titles. At this time, you have over 400 Pokemon to go out in the world and find. So lots of choice for you
That's
to
a
do.
lot of Pokemons.
And traditionally, the game challenge is to go out in the world, follow a story, find gyms. And when you get to a gym, you will do a couple of challenges, maybe a couple of battles, and then you'll get to a gym leader. And then once you beat that gym leader, you will be presented with a gym badge. Once you've collected all the gym badges, you can go off to fight in the big tournament and then go off and be the best Pokemaster in the world.
It's like Extreme Cub Scouts.
Yes.
Only with slightly more grooming by older men in gyms.
This has all of that as well, but it also has other challenges along the way. So each kind of section you'll be presented with a section of the map you'll be presented with a gym. Also, a Titan Pokemon hunt, which you go out and find a large Pokemon, as it says, a Titan, and try to fight them. And also
body confident Pokemon, I prefer.
Yes, and also there's a antagonist team called Team Star. They're like your Team Rocket of this generation, and you can find their bases and go off and fight loads of Team Star characters, and then fight like a final boss, which isn't always a Pokemon. Like the first one you come up to fight against is like a giant truck, and you have to beat a Pokemon and then the truck, and that's how you beat that. So like a boss area type thing.
Right. So there's a sentient truck that you need to kill.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good.
That gives you 3 different types of, not just the gym challenges, but the Titan challenges and the Team Star challenges as well. That's 3 different types for you to do. You gain badges for all of those kind of things. I don't know what the end game result of that is going to be to get all those badges, but it's very fun to do such a thing. It's a lot of variety in what you're doing now. It's not just following that base track. And you cannot go off and do one of those things. You can go off and do all 3 at once if you want to do. And because this is an open world and there's no kind of level scaling to what section you're in, there are harder areas, there are easier areas. If you wanted to, you could just go straight to an area, find level 30, 50 Pokemon and just try to battle your way through, see if you can catch one. Like, play it on hard mode, basically. Or if you want to do a more traditional, you work your way up, you fight Pokemon more your level. The further you go, the more grinding there is, and you build up gradually along the way.
So I've got a question. So I've got in my memory that kind of encounters in Pokemon were a bit like your kind of classic JRPG, where you're trundling around the world map and all of a sudden, badness happens. You've stumbled upon a random encounter. So this time around, though, can you actually see the Pokemon trundling about the world?
Yeah.
So can you actually, like, ones you were missing, rather than it being kind of just like a bit of a crapshoot, for want of a better way of putting it, where it's just completely random what you ended up with, or is it still an element of randomness in there with what you encounter?
They've been doing that for a little while now, where you can see the physical Pokemon and it avoids the random aspect of it. So, if you're doing the full Pokedex run and you want to collect all the Pokemon available to you and try fill that up, then there was that thing of, I'm after an Abra, I've got to go to this, I look at a guide, I find this one section where there's an Abra, and then I run up and down, get into a fight, no, not that one, run out, next one, run out, and just keep on doing that till you find the right Pokemon you're after. This one, there's an element of that still, because the map will tell you where certain Pokemon are when you zoom into it, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to find them straight away. So you could be walking around an area and just be presented by bread dog and birds when you're looking for
Bread dog.
A fighting Pokemon of some kind, and you just keep walking around until it spawns. But you're actively choosing not to get into those battles by not walking up and encountering them. And there is another level to that as well, where you can now summon your Pokemon outside of its ball to walk alongside you for a little moment, but also you can aim that at the wild Pokemon and they will just fight on their own. So by doing that, there's not as much XP. I think you get like a quarter of the XP you'd get in a regular battle, but it's over a lot quicker if they're able to win.
Oh, okay.
So you can walk around an area, and while you're waiting for the desired Pokemon you're looking for, just keep throwing out your Pokemon and getting them into little battles.
Lob your Pokemon at another Pokemon.
XP. Yeah, just keep on doing it and wait until that starts building up. And it's really cool doing that, because
clearly the countryside code is not present in the version of Pokemon Spain.
Well, I mean, it's fun doing
just let them run amok and murder things. That's all right. You have fun. Go and do a bit of murdering.
It's good doing that, because when you're venturing between one town to another and you're going down this long pathway, and you can go off and fight other Pokemon trainers and stuff along the way, you're also encountering all these wild Pokemon, and you just keep throwing your Pokemon out, and you're not getting into battle, so it's not taking ages for you to get through, and you're just picking up gradual bits of XP along the way. So I quite like that. Now, the big thing, as I said, is the glitches. There's a kind of big game at the moment of who's that glitch, where you may be seeing things like characters falling through maps. You can see one of my favorite, where you can see getting on the kind of bike-like travel Pokemon, and your character just suddenly growing massive like a basketball player and then shrinking back down to their regular size.
Cool.
There are massive frame rate dips, especially when you play on multiplayer and co-op. Oh, that's the other thing. You can play 4-player co-op throughout the whole game now, which I've not been able to do because I'm nearly 40 and there are no friends playing Pokemon as far as I'm aware.
What does that tell you?
Yeah, I know. But it's fun, so more for you.
Well, that tell you.
Well, I had an idea. I thought it'd be
I
good.
mean, so I mean, what I've heard though. I mean,
I didn't tell you about my best glitch. My favorite
All
one.
right, tell me about your best glitch.
There's like a
tell me about it.
So there's a Pokemon called Diglett that's like a little like a mole type Pokemon, just pokes his head out and goes under. And that there's a variant because different regions have different variants in these games. They decided, I think around a point, the Sun and Moon, they went, hey, it's very sunny in this environment based on Hawaii, so we're going to have different variations of Pokemon because of the environment. And they've been keeping that going forward. This time, the Diglett is like an elongated, very stretched out looking Pokemon. And there was a moment where there's a video going around of the Pokeball going off underneath the trainer, and they look very well endowed.
Nice. Nice.
Pretty good.
Nice. It's super effective.
Yes.
I have a question, Mr. Coleman.
Super erective. I don't know.
Go on then, Tim.
Yeah, and it's not my normal Pokemon question of can you eat
Can
Pokemon,
you eat Pokemon
in this game? Because that's
No, because you can
old.
eat Pokemon, I've heard.
Yeah.
I have an update on that, but go on.
Okay, they announced recently that in the cartoon actually won the world championship finally. He actually is the Pokemon master now or whatever the correct terminology is. I reckon they probably timed that just before the release of a game to kind of, and that may have helped sales somewhat, maybe, I don't know. But I was wondering if there was any tie-in to that in the game at all. I'm guessing you wouldn't see that till endgame necessarily, but yeah, wondering if you'd seen anything that hints towards that or...
So from what I remember of the Pokemon cartoon, they don't tie in...
Like you haven't watched it recently.
No, I haven't watched it since... When was the first series? The 90s?
Wow.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought that you'd watched it sooner than that.
No.
Well, more recently.
Not really big into anime these days, then. Especially like kids anime.
How you kids grow up.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, the characters, I mean, I think characters appear as like gym leaders and stuff, but they don't incorporate the cartoon into the games, except for way back when Pokemon Yellow, which was a mix of red, blue, and green, and it was more based on the show where your character looked like Ash and you had a talking Pikachu and all that kind of stuff for the Game Boy. But I don't think that's going to incorporate in the game at all because they never do. To go back to your age-old question that you always like to do when Pokemon comes out, there's a point in the game where you can buy food, and in that food is ham. And there is a pig Pokemon introduced in this one called Lechonk.
Uh-oh.
I've got a feeling that you can eat Pokemon.
Nice.
Yum, yum, yum.
I have a question.
Go on then, Dan.
I have a question. No, I think a lot of people have obviously been pointing at the performance issues and going, come on, guys, it's just running on a Switch. You know, cut it some slack. Are there instances where, rather than it just being them asking too much of the Switch, does it simply look rushed? Are there kind of inexcusable bits of performance or inexcusable graphical glitches?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've heard that kind of clearly what they want is this kind of immersive world teeming with Pokemon, but because of all of the issues and the slightly slapdash nature of the way it's all been put together, it kind of never really gets that sense of adventure and kind of mystery that really they were gunning for, perhaps.
I think because initially the criticism seemed to surround the Switch. A lot of people saying, look, the Switch is too old now. It's had its day. It's essentially a 7-year-old laptop chip and Android bits. And it's like an Android tablet that's way too old now. So a lot of people complaining about that. But then you can look at things like Mario Odyssey. You can look at Legend of Zelda, even previous Pokemon games like Arceus. As much as I wasn't a fan of the technical limitations of that game, it does perform a lot better than this one. And that's meant to be more of an open world type game, more traditional open world type game. So you look at that and have to think what's going on with the Pokemon company, with Game Freak, because they have stuck to being, considering they've got one of the biggest, the biggest franchise in the world and one of the biggest game series in the world. They still have a team of about 190 people, which is relatively small for a AAA studio. And they don't have like studios all over the world that they're branching over with, a la like a EA or an Activision or an Ubisoft. And then also they've decided to add this new second mainline series to the mix, where we had Arceus earlier in the year, and now we have the mainline Pokemon this year. So is there a case of they worked on this one game and they haven't put enough time into this one that they should have? Because a lot of these issues do seem to be down to bug testing, things that they've not worked enough time on optimizing for the hardware and just flattening out bugs along the way. And I've now seen criticism go the other way. When you complain about the bugs, you will get a section of people go, no, the game's great. The problem is just the Switch. If you run this on the PC, it will run much better. And I've seen people run it on the PC. And yeah, it does fix some frame rate issues. It does fix some stuttering.
Well, there's a surprise.
But it doesn't stop you clipping through the earth. It doesn't stop you walking away from civilians and seeing them move at 2 frames a second. It doesn't, windmills just stopping in the distance. It doesn't stop any of that stuff. I think it's just poor optimization, and they needed more time.
Wow. Okay. So is it like kind of just bad popping or dodgy animation or
all the above?
All of the above, really?
All the above.
Lovely.
The only thing I have.
Nice.
I mean, I've not had falling through the earth or weird glitchiness in the kind of state that everyone else is having. I'm seeing the kind of the result of low optimization, where shadows around you are just little dribs and drabs. You move at slow frame rates. The thing where someone will be walking normally in front of you, and then you go a little bit further away and they look like a flip book, they're barely moving at all.
Nice.
Just missing frames of animation to kind of conserve memory. All these kind of things add up and make you go, wow, this game does look rushed. But I think when you play it on a handheld instead of play it on a big screen, that stuff is easier to forgive and forget, because this is an incredibly, like I say, this is probably the most fun I've ever had playing a Pokemon game. And it is a mess, but it's a beautiful mess.
Do you think it's a fixable
got a whole
mess
thing
as
going
well?
at the moment? I think they can patch over time.
That will make it a tidy, Tim. That would make it a tidy, not a mess.
They do have a tendency to support these games for like a year after release, so that they've got time to keep patching and fixing it along the way.
Cynical cash grab.
So we'll see what happens along the way. Maybe they can fix it, but for now, I'm enjoying it. I didn't spend the full £50 on it, as I'm finding a lot more lately. The more you shop around looking for bargains and offers on physical games, like I got this day one for £30, so that's not too bad considering. And like I say, I'm really, really enjoying it.
I mean, do you think part of the problem is that they know that no matter what, it's going to sell absolute crap tons, even if it is a technical mess?
I think that, yes, they are resting on their laurels in that kind of state where they're going, well, it's going to come out in this date, hell or high water, has to come out at this date, just in time for Christmas, just in time for Black Friday sales and all that kind of stuff. You can roll it into packages with your Switch, like there's Pokemon specific Switch and all these kind of things that come alongside the game. So they have to have it out at this date. I get that. The problem I think they're going to have going forward is if you keep doing this, then people will start becoming wise to the fact that if you buy this on day one, it's going to be full of a load of bugs and you're going to have to wait time. And
not just Pokemons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo have been really bad for this lately. A lot of their first party games, Strikers, Golf, I love the Nintendo Switch Sports game that came out. I think that's one of the best, more fun games I've had this year. However, they release these games with not many features to them, like a base level, and then go, oh, we're going to support this going forward and we're going to add free DLC. It's like, you're not adding free DLC. You've just not finished it and you're going to put the rest in later. And a lot of time, you're not, with Strikers, they've put 2 updates since that game came out. And that game came out a little while ago, and it's just been 2 new characters and some renders of pictures. And it's not a lot for the support that's been promised for that game. I don't know, maybe... I think Nintendo definitely need a hardware refresh, and I think that they need to buck their ideas up with studio support.
I still think we're not going to see a full-on hardware refresh until the end of the Mario Kart DLC, which is going on for a little while. They announced this week that the third wave of that's coming, and I only particularly mention it because it features the London course from the World Tour circuits as well.
Hey.
So, yeah, that's coming out December 7th.
London.
But, yeah.
So you might have your post-Brexit Pokemon, but at least you got your proper, honest English.
Yep.
Mario Kart course, Coleman.
Yeah.
I think we could, in all seriousness, see a hardware revision as soon as next year, but like at the end of the year. When they started doing teasing out the NX stuff, I think that was in February they announced it, and then it came out later in the summer. I think you could be looking at more of a Christmas date for it to come out. It's away from any kind of hardware free refreshes anywhere else. It's away from VR2 and all that kind of stuff. So you could see it. And when you talk about game updates for the Switch and all these kind of things, who knows? Maybe it's a backwards compatible console that you could stick your cartridges in and have more boost to it.
Or I wonder if Nintendo will go all digital, maybe.
They love selling cartridges.
Could happen. Those tasty cartridges.
Not tasty.
I still haven't licked a Switch cartridge for science. All right, okay. Tim Moffy.
Hello.
Me, Dan.
Yes.
Me, Dan, you, Tim.
That joke doesn't work anymore, I'm afraid, Dan.
Devil in me. Damn it. So you have been playing
Yes.
the latest bit of the Dark Pictures Anthology, Devil in Me, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Tell me about it.
Right, for anyone who doesn't know...
Tell me.
Dark Pictures Anthology is kind of a spiritual successor to Until Dawn. It's a very cinematic, what they call an interactive drama and a survival horror, basically. And yeah, this follows on from previous games in the series. This is the fourth game in the series. I think the first was Man of Medan, which we were kind of almost referencing there, Dan, previously.
We were referencing me, Dan, you, Tim.
And just to catch up fully on where I am in the series as well, I played, I think, almost all, or if not all, of Little Hope. I played Little Hope in preview, which is the second one. I played Man of Medan pretty much all the way through, which was the first one. The third one I did not play. I'm now playing the fourth one, which is The Devil in Me. Set up for all of these games and Until Dawn is you have a cast of characters, usually 5, I think it's 5 in all of them, that you have to guide through an experience where they could die at any point in time. And any one of those 5 characters could die, and then the story will continue in a way, but you can kill off those characters.
Like you can go, I don't like them very much.
The style of game is a bit of an acquired taste, but it's one that I do like. I really liked Until Dawn. All the Dark Pictures Anthology games have been on a slightly in the same mold, but a slightly different kind of thing into itself, but like very much taking on the same formula and doing it at a slightly lesser scale. So it still looks kind of graphically impressive. Like the performance capture stuff they do still does a good job of capturing people's faces and looking good, particularly in the cinematics, but just generally character models are like highly detailed. It doesn't quite hit the heights that Until Dawn used to. It's not quite on that level. When Until Dawn came out, it looked really graphically impressive, and I think this looks good, but not as graphically impressive as it did at the time. But this one is a different setup. Basically, you are a crew of documentary makers. There's a director and the sound guy, the camera guy, and a few other people on the team.
Classic documentary team build.
Yeah. And you are making a documentary on someone that I hadn't actually heard of before, but H.H. Holmes. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the World's Fair Hotel. I did not know this before going into this. And it's a real thing that it's based on. And there was a serial killer that basically thought of as America's first serial killer. And he set up a hotel called the World's Fair Hotel around the World's Fair in Chicago and made it so like the whole hotel was a rigged trap for people to die in horrific ways. And like he had like gas pipes leading into rooms to gas people in their sleep. He also had like windows so that he could watch into things and like two-way mirrors and stuff like that. But then also had places where other people could see other people dying. And yeah, it was all very horrific. Some debate about how many people possibly died in it. There was 2 of them that they definitely knew about, and then they found like when a couple died there. And you get to play in the game as that couple originally with the murderer who is H.H. Holmes. You will die in that bit, and it's a kind of intro to the game. But you got those 2 characters, and you can like affect how they die, basically. But then when you get into the main meat of the game, you're playing as one of the 5 people on the documentary crew that have been invited to an island that has a recreation of the hotel. And when you arrive there...
Well, this can only end well, surely.
When you arrive there, it soon becomes obvious that things are a bit more sinister than you'd been led to believe. And this recreation of things that's supposed to be like a theme parky style home where people can come and stay and experience what it was like is actually much more sinister and out to possibly murder you, basically. And so you got to keep the 5 characters alive. I have so far been less successful in that. Like I avoided a few things and got people through a few bad situations. But I'm currently 2 characters down. I have 3 alive and 2 very much toast.
They're toast. You're eating humans on toast. Lovely.
Nearly got toasted, but I avoided that. And then I died in a separate, much meatier, grindier incident. It was
lovely.
Yeah. And the whole horror thing, the whole horror aspect is definitely like there are some gruesome ways to die in this game. There is very much like a lot of shock scares and different things going on when you're creeping around in creepy environments. There's lots of very creepy mannequins, kind of murderers, like making animated mannequins that kind of come to life a bit as well, just to give you an extra freak out here and there. And yeah, it's a gruesome, grisly game that kind of plays up the connection with the past while making it its own story. The director of the crew is probably the one that is the character that you'd most recognize. Our American and other listeners may recognize him more from Game of Thrones, as he was someone in that. Paul Kay, otherwise known in the UK as Dennis Pennis, and other people like that, basically. And so, yeah, his performance is quite good. And yeah, that's quite funny. But he's the most recognizable character. But the other people are actors I'm not as familiar with. This reminded me what I like about the series. And it also, I've been playing it. I got a review code. I should have mentioned that up front. But playing it, I think, pre-release or in the first week of release at least. And the previous problem I had with a couple of earlier titles, Man of Medan and Little Hope, is on launch, they had a lot of bugs. Like you were mentioning being a problem in Pokemon. But when a bug actually gets you a character permanently killed, that can be more of a problem, basically. And it feels
You've clearly never seen Starship Troopers.
It feels like a bit cheap. Yeah, happy to report that I have encountered literally no bugs, a couple of like very minor things here and there, but nothing that would harm my enjoyment of the game, which is quite good. I can understand and think, having played with a couple of friends, some of the character placement is a bit fiddly. It's a bit overly like you have to be standing exactly here to be able to press X or to get up on this platform and stuff like that. And that can be a little bit disjointing. It takes you out of the moment a little bit, especially when it's so heavily reinforcing its whole cinematic presentation and everything. You don't want to be taken out of the game just because you're not lined up exactly on things and stuff like that. But remind me how much I like these games, and it's made me want to go, okay, I haven't played House of Ashes. I'm going to have to pick that up at some point so that I can complete the series, basically.
I have a question. H.H. Holmes.
Yes.
Henry Howard Holmes, the original Triple H.
Yes.
Yes.
Although that wasn't really his name, it's just the name he gave himself. But, you know.
Yeah.
Or Herman Webster Mudgett, I believe.
Yes.
Was his real name.
You're on the Wikipedia page right now. Eh?
Which is, I might be, a little bit.
I'm not.
But I was, obviously he was kind of active in the, like you said, in the late 1800s. So how do they... Is there kind of a looking back in time thing? How do they?
Yes, I mean, as I said,
character in the game.
At the start of the game, you are literally playing the two parts, the male and female couple, or that gets murdered, that kind of uncovers the whole thing. And there are references back to the past, but they've made their own story on top of that. So there is
Gotcha.
An FBI agent involved. I don't want to give too much away, but an FBI agent involved that's kind of gone missing. And there's someone that invites you to the island that you later found out may not be who you thought he was. Yeah, there's a bit to have to dance around there because I don't want to give like plot points away in the story. But generally, yeah, it's a recreation of this thing. And as your documentary team, you are making, and I didn't make this clear, but you're making a documentary about H.H. Holmes. And you want to go to this island because it's this recreation and you can get a load of footage and film a load of stuff in it to add to your documentary, basically. It's set up as a big murder island rather than a murder hotel, basically. So, yeah.
Tell you what, bet you it's more fun to watch than Love Island.
Well, yes, I would say so. I mean, not
probably
everyone
wouldn't get
agreed
stupid
with me.
watching it either.
Yep. Don't lose many brain cells.
That show makes my brain sad. It really
Reality
does.
TV was an invention to make the public more stupid. So says the guys that play video games.
Pacify the masses.
I will say, because with these with the Dark Pictures Anthology, I have picked up all of these games for my girlfriend, which she used to really get into because she was a big fan of Until Dawn as well. And then I think she fell off on the last one or two of them, so I wasn't. Going to
I was in a similar
this
position.
However, and I haven't been meaning to. I've been meaning to go and play them myself, but since the whole PS5 upgrade, I haven't been in a rush to do so. However, they're now re-releasing the older ones as free upgrades for PS5 as well, if you already own them on PS4. So that's good. This one, though, I am actually interested in playing because I do have an interest in H.H. Hughes for the for the kind of the mystique behind him. But even though the whole thing with the Death Trap Hotel, like a lot of that is very fantasized in media going forward. There's a lot of overblown rumors and things that he created that didn't actually exist in the hotel. But it's a fun premise. I think they used it a few years ago in what was that series called? American Horror Story. If you watch the series, because that changes its setting and characters and everything, but keeps the same actors each season. And one of them is, I think it's called American Horror Story Hotel, and that one's based around the whole H.H. Holmes stuff as well. It's the one with Lady Gaga in it,
right? Okay,
that people seem to like.
Yeah, it's an odd one because I don't particularly like necessarily glorifying murderers. Like, I think it's a weird thing about society, but it's something that myself and a lot of other people are prone to. Like, it's something you only got to see how many other podcasts there are on true crimes, or just how many documentaries on Netflix. But this one had passed me by. I didn't know anything about this before going in, so literally, like, partway through the game, it unlocks different videos and stuff you can watch, and one of them's a documentary about the whole H.H. Holmes things. And I was watching the documentary, I was like, was this made for the game? I'm going to have to double check if this is real and checked it out. On that note as well,
pretty messed up.
You can play these multiplayer, and you can actually like type in your names, and so it tells you like, oh, Tim, it's your go now, or I was playing with friend of the show, David. Yeah, it's weird though, because like you can play multiplayer and it will pass the pad, and we got it to auto distribute the people because we thought it might fairly break them up, and it didn't really seem to do that. It seemed to be like you'd be better off just passing the pad when it changes character, or just keeping track of which characters you want to be and stuff, basically.
I think that's more a feature for if you have like a group of people, not just two of you. Otherwise, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, well, you can play up to.
But we tried. I remember
5, but yeah.
No, I remember because we tried to do this with Man and Medan. We had a group of people around yours and tried to do the pass pad thing, but it kind of held things up, and that game's a bit slow to begin with, so it just made it feel a lot more slower.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a single player experience for me.
Yeah, the only problem I had there as well, because I started the game in multiplayer, then when I went to continue it, I couldn't continue from a single player only game without just continuing the one I'd played in multiplayer. So I ended up playing that in one session in multiplayer, and then another session with someone else playing the 2-player stuff as well.
That seems a bit of a fail,
could you,
say.
So I mean, if it's past the pad, could you not just play the multiplayer in single player?
Yeah, I think that's a better solution, because then you're not trapped to having to.
But he'd have to live with himself afterwards. Yeah. The dishonesty of it, Coleman.
So The Devil in Me is part of the Dark Pictures Anthology. That is available on PC, PS4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S for £34.99.
I've got vague memory of earlier bits of that being on either Game Pass or PS Plus at some point.
probably some version of those games, because there's a lot of those games now. I think Man of Medan might have come to Game Pass at some point.
Yeah, I thought it did.
Yeah. But that's
Worth
like the
trying
first in,
any
what,
of them
6
and,
games now?
and seeing if you like them.
I'm interested in, because they at the end of each game, they tease the next game, and I'm interested in the next one that the teasers come out about, which is a sci-fi horror, and I want to see what they can do with that.
I really enjoyed it. Haven't quite finished it. I'm definitely going to go back and try and get all the way through the game, basically.
I really thought you were about to say, I haven't quite finished my monologue about this game. Come around to go, you most certainly bloody have. Right, shall we do a very brief bit of news because we're already running long?
I'll just read the headlines because we are going over today. So I will say that in the news this week, Yuji Naka, or as I like to call him, Yuji Nax, the co-creator of Sonic, and
Huge Nax.
Yuji Nax is
no Huge Nax.
No, not Huge Nax. That's disrespectful to the man.
Huge Nax.
He is
huge,
as well as being the creator of one of the greatest games to be created last year, Balan Wonderworld. He has also been arrested along with 2 other gentlemen over in Japan that worked for Square Enix during that time on the basis of insider trading. He bought shares. He may have had insider information along with the other guys as well, and got nobbled for it, and allegedly, and that could be a big problem for Yuji Nax going forward. Also, this week in the news, the FTC is reportedly filing an antitrust lawsuit against Microsoft in a bid to stop the purchase of Activision Blizzard. So we'll see what goes forward.
So that is the Federal Trade Commission in the States, isn't it?
Yes.
So
if you remember, Square Enix Montreal had been sold off and is now Studio Anoma. They've announced that a lot of these Square Enix titles that they are in charge of, including Deus Ex Go, Hitman Sniper, The Shadows, Arena Battle Champions, and Space Invaders Hidden Heroes, are all going to be delisted and taken off of the Play and Apple stores.
That's a real shame. Because Deus Ex Go is great, and Anoma is in, oh no, my games! I'm presumably is what the name of the studio is all about. Because I don't understand, right? Deus Ex Go, decidedly single player.
Yep.
Why the heck are people not allowed to access that after they shut it down? It seemed mad.
Because
to me.
they are no longer owned by Square Enix, and therefore I don't think they own, and also I think they don't have the license to use those characters anymore. I don't know the
because the wording sounds like
it.
right. So the games will be delisted.
Yeah.
But then players will not be able to access the games. Which rather implies that even if you own it already, then you can't operate it. Well, own.
From the statement that they put out on Twitter, it looks like they're being removed from the App Store and the Google Play Store. And I know a few of the Go games, like Lara Croft and Hitman, I think they got ported to console as well. So I don't know if Deus Ex is one of those ones that also has a console version that you'll be able to play.
Don't remember that.
Yeah, I mean, so their exact wording is current players will not be able to access the games past January 4th.
Yes, we got the idea, Dan.
Boo.
It's crap.
Yeah.
But yes.
Boo.
I think the likeliness of that as well is the reason for that is, even though they're single player games on mobile, a lot of them are always online, which kind of defeats the point of having a mobile game, because I like to play mobile games when I'm on the tube, and then when it goes on the ground, you can't play them anymore. So it's a really sucky thing for them to do that, but they do that for anti-piracy reasons. Because if you jailbreak your phone, you can download a lot of these games for free. If it's always online, then it's pinging their servers and verifying and all that kind of stuff. So this is one of those games that you wouldn't be able to pirate because of it being an always online game. Because of that, when it gets delisted and they shut their servers off, then you won't be able to play it anymore. That will most likely be the reason for it.
Just not give a crap and just let everyone play it still.
And it very well could be that those servers are owned by Square Enix, for all we know.
Yeah. And they don't want to pay to promote someone else's product.
And lastly, we know Netflix have been trying to jump into the game market for some time. They launched games included in the subscription, so mobile games on your mobile phone. And
mobile games on my what will they think of next?
And we knew that they had created the formation of Netflix Game Studio to develop new titles, usually based on Netflix IPs. And now it looks like they may be stepping into more a AAA role, because they have put up a job listing, which looks like they're trying to hire someone for a new AAA PC game akin to Overwatch.
Calling it now. It's Prince Philip loses his shit at the end of the 5th series of The Crown and guns everyone down. That's what it's going to be.
Just
it's going
like
to be like
history.
The Crown. Yes, because as we all know, The Crown is real on Netflix.
Yes, it is.
So that's what it's going to be. It's going to be Prince Philip finally loses it. He's going to go running amok in the home counties with nothing but a dual barrel shotgun, and you are other members of the royal family,
Or a pheasant.
and you're all trying to survive.
I think they should make a game based off their popular anime series, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. If they could make a game out of that, that'd be great.
Right? Yeah. About that.
Or what about The Witcher?
Just as
Oh yeah, that'd
that'd
make a
great
good game.
wouldn't it? Do you know what it'd even be better as? It'd almost be good as a book. That series, I think.
Yeah, a novelization.
Yeah. Oh yeah, novelization. It'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be good. Anyway, that was a
That'd
very
be good,
quick
wouldn't it?
rundown of this week's headlines because we ran over on the games we
Certainly
were
was.
reviewing.
Before we go though, we need to tell you some things.
Yeah.
Like, you should go to tpublic.com/store/BRB. Buy some sweet, sweet merch. Christmas is coming up, and you want to wear my face on your chest for Christmas. That's what you should do.
Yeah,
No?
I think you should get it on a
Good.
mug on a mug.
I would like a very Soviet-looking Zangief t-shirt for Christmas, please. Where could I get one of those?
Excellent. Wear it in front of Americans. See what happens. So, tpublic.com/store/BRB.
Excellent.
Go there.
Good.
Buy things. Make us happy. Tim, Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It's happening this week, as with every week. Tell me about Tuesday this week.
Tuesday is indeed a Tuesday, and each and every Tuesday we do an event called Tabletop Tuesday at the Loading Bar in Stoke, Newington. Each Tuesday we have a different feature game, and if you play that feature game that evening, you can win a copy of the game at the end of the evening. This week's game is Chicken versus Hot Dog. It's a very silly game about flipping chickens and hot
the
dogs.
age-old battle. Take that, Pokémon
It's kind
Scarlet
of like
and Violet.
bottle flip made into a tabletop game. So you're flipping chickens and hot
Right.
dogs. It looks very silly,
Okay.
looks very dumb. It's going to be fun. Come join us. So
That
yeah,
sounds great.
there'll be more details on the top left-hand corner of Big Red Barrel. You can also come along to our meetup group. Search meetup.com. Go join the 2,000 members of Tabletop Tuesdays. Or you can just come along to the Loading Bar in Stoke Newington. Details on the Loading Bar site. That's loading.bar. Or, yeah, as I said, top left-hand corner of bigredbarrel.com.
Be there or be somewhere else.
Loading
But preferably
bar.
be there.
Win a
At
chicken
Stoke
and a hot
Newington for
dog this week.
Tabletop Tuesday, chicken versus hot dog. Go there and play a game and lick Tim's face.
Yes, no, especially that's what you have to do in order to win the game. You have to lick Tim's face.
No,
if
you don't.
That's
No.
how we register your entry
No.
in the competition.
That's right.
No.
And if you win, you could win a copy of Tim's face.
Also, no.
Unless you don't
Win a
win, and
copy
Tim
of
gets to keep
chicken
the
versus hot
copy
dog.
of Tim's face, and he'll wear it over his
No.
face like Handsome Jack.
No.
But we call
Instead
him
of Handsome
Grey
Jack, he's
Tim.
Mr. November.
Great, Tim.
Mr. November. Speaking of Mr.
Mr.
November,
November.
if you've enjoyed this show, then Lord help you, but you can go and go to bigredbarrel.com for more podcasts like this. And also, while you're there, check out our comment section. You can leave us nice little messages. There is a link there for our Discord. We have a Facebook and a Twitter at Big Red Barrel. And we have a YouTube at Big Red Barrel TV. Also, all those links will be available in the show notes of this here podcast and whatever player you're listening to the podcast through. While you're there and you're going to check out all our social medias and ways to speak to us, you can ask us a question by saying, I have a question, much like Stingo has, where he says, I have a question.
Yep.
With it being Thanksgiving
Yep.
here in the States, I was wondering, what would you consider your Thanksgiving Day meal? Now, we don't do Thanksgiving in the UK because we are dirty British. And you are
Although I
deserters
used
who
to
left
at
us.
one point, when I worked for TGI Fridays, that was the one day they closed the restaurant and the managers served the staff a Thanksgiving meal. So I have had a Thanksgiving
backwards.
meal in England, but that's
Well,
not the normal thing.
That could go horribly wrong if your manager doesn't like you. That could go very, very, very wrong.
I would
Yes.
say, if I were one to celebrate Thanksgiving, I've always wanted to try the deep fried turkey. I've seen it done.
Ooh.
I've seen it very dangerously done. I've seen it catch fire and stuff.
Is that where you deep fry it in a bin?
I've seen you get the big pot full of oil, and then you lower a turkey into it, and
I mean, what could go wrong? What could go
fires,
wrong with that
mostly.
after you've had a couple of beers?
Fires or splashing, scalding, boiling hot oil all over yourself. But there is a cool William Shatner advert for a safe device for doing deep fried turkey with, and people have remixed that into songs, and it's very. In fact, that might be playing us out this week.
He'll do anything for money.
I love William Shatner's ability to hawk stuff. But yeah, deep fried turkey. I always want to try it. Failing that, if I'm picking the
Turducken.
Yeah, if I'm
wouldn't mind
picking
trying
the
a
food,
turducken.
though, I'll have a crispy chili beef. I've tried a turducken. Odd.
I haven't tried a turducken.
Tastes like sin. What would be your
misery?
What would be your Thanksgiving meals?
What would be my Thanksgiving meal?
Well, yeah, it was the question.
Yeah.
What would be?
Well, I answered
turducken.
turducken. I haven't tried that before. I mean, deep fried turkey's a good answer. I'll go with turducken to give a different answer.
Some reason I would kind of want a really big, like, it's weird because I've never really thought I want to say something like Christmas dinner, but I kind of want to say something random as well.
I mean, Thanksgiving dinner
I think
basically is Christmas dinner.
it is based on Christmas dinner.
With more pumpkin.
Do you know what I'd like? I would like kind of I would like all of like kind of the roasty bits, but cold the next day because that's when they're best.
I'd also like a pecan
That's
pie.
what I'd have.
I love a pecan pie, me.
Oh, pecan pie's good.
And I'm now watching William Shatner try and sell me a turkey roaster.
Excellent. Next
#Shatner Fries Club.
Next question from Ed. He says, with November drawing to a close, when is Tim preparing to release his Mr. November calendar for 2022? Is it too late to pre-order for 2023? Tim?
Never and yes.
What?
We should make at least one of these just for Ed. If only we knew someone
I know, right?
who ran a printing business. If only we
Yes.
knew Mr. November.
If only.
If only we knew the model and the printer all rolled into one.
No.
It would just be him photocopying his face for November.
He had an addition to his question. He said, also, to keep with Stingo's Thanksgiving theme, what game mechanics are you most thankful for? I would like
pause button.
The pause button. That's
Pause
pretty
button
good.
is a
I
good
like
one.
a pause button.
I like it when you can pause in a cutscene. Like, that never used to be a thing, but
Yes.
it's so handy
yeah.
at times. So
It's
I'm gonna be
upsetting when
thankful
You know
you're
what I've
too
become
used to
increasingly
that and then you
thankful
end
for?
up skipping cutscenes because of it.
Yeah, like I hate it when that happens.
Subtitles, they're great. Love them.
They're also good.
Not really.
I know why I'm thankful for subtitles. We're talking about this really isn't game mechanics.
No, they're not really game
Active
mechanics.
reload.
More
There
features.
we go. Active reload. That is a good fun game mechanic.
Cool.
Active reload. There we go. I'm thankful for active reload.
I will say using the Steam Deck's emulation capabilities and
geek.
finally having a version of emulating the PlayStation that plays Buster Groove and doesn't add a weird lag or you need to add a lag to it or something to make it work. It just works perfectly.
That's not a game
So I would
mechanic,
say,
Coleman.
No. I've not got to the game mechanic.
Oh,
I'm saying for that
okay.
reason, and me playing
Right.
Buster Groove and Buster Groove 2 a bunch, I would say
Yeah.
the rhythm-based QTE is one of my favorite game mechanics.
Ooh.
Well, it's the whole
odd.
basis
I
of the
wouldn't have guessed
game,
that
Dan.
you'd have gone with a QTE, so...
Yeah, but rhythm-based QTE.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
I like a good turn-based game, so I'm going to go, like, turn-based games are good. So that's my mechanic I'm thankful for.
Very good.
Yes.
Good.
Very good. Right.
That's all our questions this week.
That is. So if you do want to leave us a question, any of the social media places, but we especially like them on Discord, which you'll find a link to in the notes. So go do that. Right. We've babbled on for far too long, which means it's time for us to go once more to shuffle off into the twilight of your podcasting evening. Only to return next week because we've only shuffled and haven't gone very far. That's right. Don't work. So thank you for downloading us. We shall be back next week, and all that really remains before we naff off is to remind you that I have been Dan.
I might have been Tim.
Gobble, gobble. I've been Captain Chaos.
Hey! So thank you ever so much for downloading us, and until next time, dear listeners, toodle bum.
I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey. I want a deep fried turkey. I want a moister, tastier turkey. When I laid my hands on that fryer, I didn't want to let go. Back then, everyone was doing it. I once loved this piece of metal. Keep yourself, your family, and me safe from turkey fryer fires. So dangerous, you can't even imagine. fried turkey tastes great. It's a great taste. I love fried turkey. But you gotta do something. Pop, thermometer. Dingle dangle, dingle dangle. Pop, thermometer. Where's the dingle dangle?
You and your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarrel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.
I just got the headset and the charging dock thing. I didn't get the one with the Horizon game thing, but hey.
Okay. Well, on the plus side, we're going to have an excellent giveaway at the end of the show because I've got Tim's credit card details.
Hey.